less restrained because, or are you just describing the situation? I don't know what to make of this analysis. You kind of stop midway after saying, listen, boop, what? Question, knowing how much the USA has to gain from fucking Iran up, do you believe Israel truly made this choice on its own? No, of course not. Chatters, make no mistake. I will never entertain silly baby shit attitudes. Okay? I will never entertain the baby-brained attitudes that you hear from mainstream press about how, Israel was really fucking over Donald Trump and how, America did not give Israel the go-ahead or even literally help Israel conduct these strikes. Make no mistake, America and Israel are not separate entities. America and Israel are not two separate sovereign nations. They are one. This is why I always say simultaneously that Israel is an unsinkable aircraft carrier with its own espionage capabilities. But I also routinely tell you that Israel is like a state. And it's not like a state that is a nuclear sponge state, for example. It's not like North Dakota. It's not like South Dakota. It's the most valuable state. Israel is America's most valuable state. America would entertain blowing up South Dakota before letting Israel fall. Okay? It's not a vassal state. It is different than a vassal state. Israel is a fully blown, Israel is like up there with New York City, Washington, D.C., and fucking California as a state. That is on the value metrics. Israel's value to American foreign policy is seen as basically is akin to New York City. Okay, Tel Aviv is like basically fucking New York City. Two Israeli officials claimed to Axios that Trump and his aides were only pretending to oppose an Israeli attack in public and didn't express opposition in private. We had a clear U.S. green light, one claimed. Of course. By the way, yes, as I also said, Squirrel was right on this. Everything being done by the Trump admin now to push the turn on Israel Netanyahu line is pure misdirection aimed at reestablishing the element of surprise ahead of the attack on Iran, which requires both a sustained operation at nuclear. For the attack to have at least some chance of success, it is essential for the element of surprise to be reestablished. Think about it. This person is a, whoa, what the fuck? Little f, little baby f, mini f, mini f, mini f. Calm down, mini f. We're still here. Is a small f, chatters. Stop freaking out. Stop freaking out. Calm down. Now, remember. For the attack to have at least some chance of success, it is essential for the element of surprise to be reestablished. The fake negotiations in Oman with the Iranians, the motion of waltz, and the whining about neocons like the Saudi Arabia speech, the fake defeat against the Houthis, and all the fake leaks about how Trump is really very angry and feels betrayed by Netanyahu are all intentionally designed to create a feeling of passivity among the Iranians and the belief that the attack may not actually happen. Netanyahu's trips to D.C. was where they decided to adopt the strategy, and then immediately thereafter it was launched, and the Trump turn on Israel propaganda began in full swing. The entire media class is, of course, playing along with it, with their anonymous sources giving them leaks that establish and launder the narrative. Trump's trip to Saudi Arabia and the Gulf puppet regime is aimed at shoring up support among U.S., NATO, Israeli empire's Arab shield and consolidate inclusion of Syria's Erdogan Jelani fascist puppets into it ahead of the attack. By the way, the reason why this is important is because they wrote this on May 14th, 2025, when every single person was full tilt talking about how, like, Trump is going to fucking figure it out. Trump is going to actually fix the situation. Zay was one of the very few people out there that was like, nope, all of this is fake. All of this is a sham. And America and Israel are aligned on this. Israel doesn't do anything without the United States of America. Yeah. I told you the U.S. and the genocidal Israeli death cult were just buying time and using deception to prepare for the war in Iran. All the experts who bought into that bullshit and helped launder it should never be listened to. Zionist hegemony dictated that the war would happen. And when they say Zionist hegemony, they're talking about, like, America first and foremost. They're not talking about Jews. They're not talking about Israel. They're talking about America's ambition, okay? America's ambition in the region, its grand design for the region, is inherently a Zionist one. This is precisely the reason why you have so many Christian Zionists that are in positions of power that are ideologically super invested in this. That's why there are a million different fucking tweets from Donald Trump from 2011, 2013 talking about how, like, why aren't we bombing Iran? Why are we not bombing Iran? Asked President Trump if the U.S. was given any heads up ahead of the operation. Heads up. It wasn't a heads up. It was, we know what's going on. POTUS said he spoke with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday and plans to speak with him again today. So remember this. Remember all the fucking anti-war championing that was coming from dumbass Republicans. I fucking told you that it was all bullshit over and over again. And make no mistake when I say this. Make no mistake when I say this. Democrats would do this exact same thing. Democrats maybe won't do the same, like, song and dance in the way that Donald Trump does. They wouldn't go about it the same way, but they would do the exact same thing. Democrats, if they were in charge right now, would be doing 100% the exact same thing. 1-to-1. Make no fucking mistake. Anyone who tries to tell you that Kamala Harris will be different is a fucking delusional moron. Do not listen to them. Why? Kamala Harris's own campaign aides have actually come out and talked about how they would be doing a better job defending Israel right now. Chuck Schumer has come out and launched his support. Chuck Schumer, a week ago, was complaining that Donald Trump was Taco Trump. He wasn't going to actually fucking strike Iran. American foreign policy, as I have said a million times over, is fucking uniparty. It is uniparty. There's only one goal here, okay? That's it. Make no mistake. I said this as well. I've repeated this a million times before the election, but we'll continue to say it. American foreign policy is uniparty. Israel rarely does anything without America's go-ahead. Trump was never a peaceful dove, but them war hawks let him lie like that, and Trump is a weak baby. Okay? I mean, look at this. Look at every single senator, every single fucking politician, Republican and Democrat alike. Pray for Israel, 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 please. Pray for Israel. This is after Israel struck Iran, by the way. Not when Iran is striking Israel in retaliation now. This came literally minutes after. Fucking minutes after. Israel like this since the war with Iraq in the 1980s. Like, in retaliation, if Iran is doing like a much more restrained retaliation, then Israel will continue bombing the fuck out of Tehran. Here's a squirrel says, as Iran launches its retaliatory strikes, remember that Israel's intel and military headquarters are intentionally located in the middle of civilian areas in Tel Aviv, which by Israel's regime's own standard for Gaza makes everyone their human shields and legitimate targets. Schumer breaks the silence. Senate Dem leader Schumer on Israel's rising line operation. I've long said that Israel has a right to defend itself and that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The preferred path to preventing a nuclear-armed Iran has always been a strong, unrelenting diplomatic effort. Israel in 2021 built its new IDF Supreme Command in the command post in the heart of Tel Aviv, buried beneath blocks of civilian buildings. Called Fortress of Zion, it was deliberately placed so it couldn't be attacked without seeming to target civilian sites. Yeah. Projection, baby. Projection. Remember when Israel was like, oh, they got human shields. They got human shields. And I told you, when they were talking about fucking Hamas, they have human shields. They have human shields. Pure projection. Pure projection. And it seems as though the 7 impacts that were counted all are around Tel Aviv in central Israel and with one of the ballistic missiles landing near and causing damage to the headquarters of the Israeli Defense Force. Defense Minister Israel Katz says Iran has crossed red lines after it dared to fire missiles at civilian population concentrations in Israel. We will continue to defend the citizens of Israel and ensure that the Ayatollah regime pays a very heavy price for this heinous action, he adds. Bitch, you just killed 80 fucking Iranians, man. Yesterday. It hasn't been 24 hours. Like, what is the expectation? That Israel has a right to blow up whoever it wants at any given moment. Whenever it wants, Israel can do it. And if anyone responds to that with a much more limited, with a much more restrained and much more limited strike, a retaliatory strike, then you're still in the wrong. Incredible. This won't calm down, will it? No, of course not. Of course not. 75 years of apartheid, military occupation, ethnic cleansing campaigns, numerous pogroms that the Palestinians withstood does not mean that that the Palestinians have any right to fucking defend themselves at any given point. History started on October 7, as you know, and also history ended on October 7. Do not look to what Israel did since October 7. Do not, because that would be anti-Semitic. Okay? No, Iran was not unprepared. It seems like Iran was unprepared. It seems like they would do a better job of hiding their leaders of what the fuck happened in Lebanon. This shit is so gross. No, it's not that Iran was unprepared. I think the Iranian government is not a very popular government at all. And also there is tremendous economic instability in Iran, which also leads to further unpopularity beyond the fundamentalist policies that I think cause tremendous resentment, especially amongst the Iranian youth and Iran's allegiance or allies in the region like Assad are a fucking leaky faucet, which I think played a formative role in Mossad operations being so successful both for Hezbollah and also Iran, as opposed to October 7, where famously Yahya Sinwar did not inform Iran ahead of time, nor Hezbollah ahead of time of October 7. This plays, by my assessment, there are two competing theories on October 7. One theory is the idea that like Israel knew about it and they let it happen because they wanted to use this as like a final solution play. Okay? And the other competing theory, which is the one I believe, is that Israel's hubris made them think that this would be a manageable situation, that they would never be able to fucking break through, penetrate the Gaza boundary, and go into Israel and kidnap as many people as possible, right? So I think it's the hubris side, and it actually plays, it goes back to the same thing that I was talking about. Like if Israel, if Mossad has unimaginable penetration in both Hezbollah and Iran, as they have shown that they do, right? Then maybe they thought, considering that Hamas was not coordinating or corresponding with Iran or Hezbollah before October 7, they might have literally thought, yeah, no, they're not going to do shit. They're not going to do shit at all. Because the highest priority intelligence is, I assume, the people that they have on the inside, the people that they have that they are relying on for round-the-clock surveillance. And they most likely thought Hamas would never conduct a military operation like this without letting Iran and Hezbollah know, and therefore, with October 7, they just didn't think that it would be this. They did not think that it would be this large and with this many casualties in general. But yes, this of course shows once again that Mossad had deep penetration into Again, what are you trying to say? Iran is currently striking Israel, so are you trying to say they stop and get eviscerated since they retaliated after or start striking civilian targets that Israel have lists for celebration regardless, and the vibes will be immaculate regardless. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. It is Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. 71 degrees and sunny here in California, Los Angeles. The city is not on fire, but there is a city on fire, which we will be talking about in a brief moment. But before we get to that city on fire, right now, people are doing this. It's for safety. It is for safety. And now the fascist administrative state has decided that basic mutual aid is a fucking crime. Do you understand how insane this is? Like, think about all the people that we see doing mutual aid at these protests, people that go out, buy, pallets of water to hand out to protesters so they're not dehydrated, or people who hand out goggles, people who hand out respirators, people who hand out ear protection so that your earlobes don't implode when they're deploying explosive ordnance. What a psychotic situation this is. Like, criminalizing mutual aid is the next step in the depravity from this administration.
Where it just feels like something's going to happen and you're waiting for it to happen. And you can look around, you see the National Guard in front of the federal building, but as far as this intersection where we're seeing all this take place, there's no local...
I was out handing medical supplies, ear protection, and peaceful. We got arrested illegally for no reason, and there were multiple Hasan Piker heads with me. I think you watched us getting kettled live. I can't imagine if I got charged with something more for handing out those earplugs. Yeah. This is completely unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable. This is very, very dangerous. Every single fucking liberal needs to recognize how dangerous this is.
Police to be seen. Yeah. And we have people handing out masks and gas masks, and we just saw people graffitiing the sidewalk right in front of this truck, and we've seen people doing burnouts in the street. There's no local law enforcement around.
Let us clarify, because
that's not true. There's a tremendous amount of local law enforcement around. It's just that they're too busy beating the shit out of marchers to I guess, like, tackle graffiti. There's laws that state I legally have to respond to emergencies as a nurse, and now I can't at protests. Yeah, it's like, the fuck?
We've been showing a wide shot and from a different angle, a whole lot of officers on the other side of the federal building, almost behind you, and perhaps the visual is obstructed from your point of view. But I can tell you there are many, many, many LAPD cars and officers there that have staged. They are blocking that freeway overpass, so protesters can't get on that overpass like they did yesterday.
This is the same vein as cops arrest grandmas for passing out pizza to people waiting in line to vote. Only one party does both that, and arrest people who help protest is insane. Like, there are laws around. There are some laws that are understandable around electioneering, right? Like, that's understandable, okay? But this is not one of those instances. This is very clearly, very deliberately designed to make people not have any protection whatsoever when they are protesting against not only the elements, but also cops. Like, they have all the gear. They have riot shields. They have weapons. They have explosive ordinances that they are using on protesters. Of course, for peaceful protesters to not get hit with fucking projectiles is a good thing. Like, this isn't even reaching a level of parity between protesters, the civilians, unarmed civilians, and the heavily militarized police. This is simply, like, just basic protection, so that when a dumbass cop is shooting you with a 40 millimeter projectile rubber bullet in the head, you don't have that. You don't have your eye taken out. You know what I mean? It's the state basically saying, No amount of self-defense in this process is legal. You have to sit there and you have to die. Yeah, but the protesters not vomiting and blindly stumbling in the traffic hurts the feeling of cops. They put a lot of effort into firing those chemical weapons to cause those things. They might cry if it doesn't work. Exactly. Like, this isn't even, they're not giving weapons out, okay? They're giving basic protective gear. That's insane.
And throw bricks or concrete or scooters down on law enforcement that was below that had cleared the 101 freeway. So perhaps they're not where you are, but there's a lot of them already positioned there. They're not getting caught off guard by a crowd gathered here.
So, I mean, that was quite a shot that we have there of these folks, and your photographer just gave us a great shot of the box that was left behind, which showed the brand of mask. I mean, it's not the kind of thing, thank you for seeing this there. It looks like a bionic shield.
Yeah, it's specifically so people's eyes don't pop out of their head when cops shoot them with projectiles. The government. Basic mutual aid. For unarmed civilian protesters. Having their on a cop and the militarized police. .40mm projectiles, explosive ordinances. Please use .40mm projectiles, explosive ordinances, and chemical weapons while they're in lawful exercising. They're criminalizing basic mutual aid for unarmed civilian protesters to shield themselves from having their eyes shot out of their heads when the militarized police use .40mm projectiles, explosive ordinances, and chemical weapons. Peepaw drafts a tweet ASMR. This is crazy. It is showing how you don't growth President Trump had in the four after the election got stolen. The first time it took him 4 years to get this kind of protest. Now it only took months. Wait, oh. Yeah. Why am I taking the apostrophe away? Because they're word count.
Describe where it just feels like something's going to happen.
This is genuinely messed up. Character limit. Yeah. This is actually incredibly fucked up, dude. All right, we're gonna go to another incredibly fucked up situation. Senator Alex Padilla forcibly removed from press briefing by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. I gotta pee real quick. I'll be back.
The fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been docked and what they have tried to insert into the city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this.
Hands up.
Also, I want to
I'm
talk
Senator Alex Padilla.
specifically
I have
to the
questions for
rioters and
the
to the
secretary,
politicians in
because the
Los
fact of
Angeles.
the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have.
All right, volatile situation breaking right now. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is going to be with us in a minute. California Senator Alex Padilla is now speaking outside the FBI building. Let's listen. Let's listen in.
Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall.
To yourself. I'm not going to make like a silly take and be like, men do this too. Like, obviously there's a difference between objectification of men and women. Ironically enough, we were just talking about that. But overall, if I don't know, if a woman wants to fucking Thank you for your coverage of the LA protests. I have a lot of anxiety, but you gave me the courage to go get assaulted by ICE trying to stop them from kidnapping a teenager yesterday. Congratulations. Did you see Sabrina Carpenter being a dog? Yes. We already covered it for like an hour. I think I'm done with that coverage. Yes, Padilla detainment is on the docket as well. There was a person who was arrested, by the way, which is insane. Alejandro Theodora Orellana was arrested this morning by FBI Los Angeles on an allegation of conspiracy to commit civil disorder for distributing face shields to suspected rioters on Tuesday. We are moving quickly to identify and arrest those involved in organizing and or supporting civil disorder in Los Angeles. This is insane. Okay? This is actually insane. The fact that they are trying to prosecute people for doing mutual aid at a fucking protest is so psychotic. And it's funny enough, it's something that I actually addressed when friend of the show, Alex Michelson, was also freaking out about when he was like, oh, these guys are very well organized. They're trying to, like, even liberals themselves think that this is illegal. It is not illegal to hand out masks at a fucking protest. If you don't understand how insane this is, if you do not comprehend what is going on here, I don't know what to tell you. Here, this is what I said. Breaking. We just saw people arrive in downtown LA with trucks loads of bionic face shields that demonstrators quickly grabbed. It certainly seems like gear you'd wear while you're preparing for a conflict with police. Who's funding this? I said, Alex, this is for basic safety that mutual aid groups hand out alongside ear protection, respirators, and goggles. It is to ensure people aren't harmed by cops shooting projectiles. And he said, thank you. Now this is now officially being seen as a felony in the eyes of the state. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. This is a normal, basic function of protest. It's a good thing that people